For once we begin to feel deeply all the aspects of our lives, we begin to demand from ourselves and from our life pursuits that they feel in accordance with that joy which we know ourselves to be capable of. But that quote is something that I don't live enough, and I want to talk about it with you today. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like we're all struggling right now. We're struggling to consume all of the things that are going on. We're struggling with the general malaise of everything that's happening. We're struggling with the threat of AI taking all of our jobs. There's so much happening, and it can feel so easy to get sucked into a doom loop. So I want to provide a solution to you. I'm going to take myself this weekend on a creative retreat, and in so doing, I am going to brick my iPhone. I'm going to make it almost impossible to use, and I'm going to use that to start actually doing the things that I have been avoiding creatively. And I think that I can help you too. I'm going to frame this whole retreat through a system that I think you can replicate yourself, because I think we all need the opportunity to take a little bit of time for our creativity. So often when people think about an idea like a creative retreat, they immediately think that it has to be expensive, that they have to go to some far-flung location and spend thousands of dollars to go there and find themselves. But I want to argue that you can find yourself and your creative compass right at home and spend almost no money. And I'm going to guide you through that today. I want to ask you, when was the last time that you asked yourself, what do I want? What do I feel? What do I value? And make sure that those things are what you actually want and not the things that other people have told you you should want. Creativity is a beautiful way to investigate our shoulds, to actually feel into our body that sense of joy and wonder that should be the guide to bring us to the places that we want to go. Anytime that I am in my studio or I am painting out in nature, I feel like I am committing some beautiful act of rebellion, that I am saying no to the way that my culture just wants me to be sad and fix that sadness with stuff, or sad and fix that sadness with watching another video on a short form platform. I am so sick and tired of that social media feeling. I quit Instagram in January, and then I joined TikTok again, and I write on Substack, so I scroll on Substack. And these platforms don't make me feel any better. They just rid me with anxiety and make me feel as though I have to keep going, I have to keep searching, I have to keep scrolling to the bottom of this bottomless pit. That design is a casino to keep us from our creative intuition, to keep us from the magic that gives our life a sense of meaning, a sense of wonder. And I want to help you try and cultivate that sense of wonder a little bit more, because I think that we all deserve it. To be creative, you don't have to be an artist. We weren't all artists when we were kids in preschool drawing with crayons. We all have a creative impulse and a creative sense, and I want to prove to you that that's real. In this video, I'm going to walk you through how I created my retreat structure, how you could do something very, very similar yourself, and then I'm also going to walk you through some of the advantages, disadvantages, and pitfalls that I ran into during the retreat. It didn't go perfectly, but in the imperfection, I think that you can learn a lot and try and replicate this for yourself. So the first thing that I want to show you is the way that my phone is set up just normally. So if I swipe up, I have all of my icons completely black, and I have it really, really simplified with none of the apps that are going to pull me in. These are all things that are either related to learning or writing or the inspiration I need as a creative person. And I can do a whole tour on this in another video. If you want to make your screen black and white like this, you just tap and hold like you're going to edit the apps. You tap edit up here and you customize it. And then you can switch the colors of your apps. So a lot of people like make them all one color or pink. I take all the color out, so that way it is not fun to look at and it's kind of boring. But even this was not enough for me. I had to take matters into my own hands and brick it and make it really almost unusable. So in order to do that, I had to go into the accessibility settings. So you just open settings, then you scroll down once you're in settings and you find accessibility. Then at the very bottom of accessibility, it's all the way down here, there's this thing called assistive access. I'm going to tap on that. And once I'm in assistive access, if you are going into it the very first time, it's going to walk you through setting it up. It'll have a thing at the top that says set up assistive access. I'm going to put a link from Apple on the steps for setting it up in the description, because this is a little bit time consuming. It took me about 40 minutes of trial and error to set it up. And if you're running into problems setting it up, call Apple support. The people who work at Apple support are really, really helpful and really nice, and they would probably love a phone call from you to just have help with setting up this amazing accessibility setting. One of the things that tripped me up when I was setting this up was which apps should I have and how do I add them? But if I wanted to change this ever, I could go to manage apps and I can just tap this little guy and hit remove. And if I wanted to say move photos up to where camera is, I just grab this little hamburger thing and I move it up. Once I have assistive access set up and I have all the apps that I want, I just tap start assistive access. It's going to ask me for the assistive access passcode, which I'll put in. And it's going to do this screen where it's going to say entering assistive access. And this is going to be a little bit scary because you're like, oh no, my phone is going to be a brick. But it's okay. It's going to make you use it, way less. Okay, so we are here. We have gotten to the assistive access screen. This is what it looks like. It's pretty boring, right? Like I can still use apps like Translate, but I have this really big back button to get me back to the main menu, and it basically just shrinks the UI a little bit. I'll show you what camera looks like. So with the camera, it's really limited. It's just photo, selfie, video, or video selfie. So if I choose photo and I were to take a photo of this painting I'm working on, all I have as an option is take photo. So that is pretty limiting, but I'm usually only taking a photo with this in order to take notes. I'm normally using the camera that I'm filming this on for most of my photos, a non-phone camera. I can still use Google Maps. With music, it made me actually choose which songs I wanted to have available. And I could still use things like All Trails to find trails near me or things of that nature like navigation while I'm on the trail. Still allowed me to use Wikipedia, which was awesome. Doing this allowed my screen time to go from an average of 4 hours and 33 minutes a day to 41 minutes a day. So if you are feeling like you're always grabbing for your phone, it's worth trying assistive access. If I want to get out of this mode, all I have to do is triple click this side button. 1, 2, 3. And then hit exit assistive access. It's going to ask me for the passcode again. And then my phone just restarts. It's exiting assistive access. And then I can use it as normal once again. So now that we've talked about how I bricked my iPhone, I want to go over my retreat goals and how I created a schedule with you. So my goals for the retreat were to create, set up, and fill my Obsidian, which is a note-taking software, with the notes from my Notes app. The notes in my Notes app were really chaotic, and I wanted them to connect to one another the way that Obsidian can make that happen. The next thing I wanted to do was to paint outside mindfully. So not focused on outcome, but just focused on the feeling. Next, I wanted to play music, something that I have been avoiding because it's not a thing that makes me money. It has been the site of conflict. Music is a particular wound that I have from art school where I was told that you can't be a musician and an artist, but clearly the person who gave me that advice had never heard of Brian Eno. And lastly, I want to make sure that I rest, a thing that I literally have to put on my to-do list in order to do, and eat well. So make sure that I'm nourishing my body during this time. So on Saturday, I wanted to give myself a 0 hour of sorts. I'm going to get up at 6 because I get up when the birds get up, and I'm just going to drink my coffee, read, and journal. So next I was going to make myself breakfast, aka brekkie. Think about your favorite thing to eat and make that what's on your schedule. Then next, I have a big injury in my back, so I need to do my PT exercises. Maybe that for you is going on a walk or anything that feels good in your body. Next, I want to drive to the trail, and I'm going to take the back roads because that's just how I am. Once I get to the trail, I'm going to walk, sit, and look. Because anytime that I'm going out in nature, I want to spend a little bit more time with my surroundings before I just sit down to try and make something. So once I find a good location, I'll get my supplies out, and then I will decide on my composition. So set up supplies and paint. So I don't want to work, and you shouldn't work for more than an hour on anything at a time. Best is to take breaks every 30 minutes, but I'm human, so I love to focus on things. So at 10:30, I'll stand, stretch, and move locations. And then once I'm at my new location, I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to walk, look, and then sit. And once I decide that I want to paint there, I will probably around 11:10 set up supplies and paint. And then I am someone of big routine, and so at noon I'm going to stop because eating lunch outside on the trail is one of my favorite activities. After lunch, I'll take a few reference photos. This is important for me because I like to take those references and use them for paintings in my studio. Then, of course, I have to give myself time to walk back to the car. This is one of the hardest things when it comes to creating our retreats, is that so often we don't plan for how long it takes to get in between different things. So after I've walked back to my car, I have to do my one task of the day. So I have to do my community work, which was just cat sitting for my neighbor. But if you're a parent, you might need to check in with your kiddos. You might need to give your spouse a little break. So make sure that you have those things in your schedule. Then after I've done my community work at 2:30, then I'm going to start on Obsidian. On a typical day, I usually do this kind of work like Obsidian and note-taking when I am just waking up right after I've journaled and eaten breakfast. But because I wanted to paint outside, I wanted to get that nice, good light instead of the afternoon light, so I flipped it. So always be considerate of light if you're going to be working from observation, or temperature if you're going to be outside and you live in a place where it gets really hot in the afternoon. And a lot of it is just moving files and categorizing because I have a lot of the notes already written. So it's kind of more maintenance work here. Next, I want to take a music break. So only working on annoying computer things at half-hour increments. 4, I'm going to rest, read, have a snack. At 4:30, I'll work on Obsidian again. At 5, I'll do a little guided meditation. At 5:30, I'll do the last bit of work on Obsidian. Maybe I'll create a page that connects the ideas, like a chapter page or something like that. There's another creator, Anna Howard, who talks about doing a mini essay to reflect on what you've sort of read through. And then at 6, I'm going to make myself some dinner and rest. On this day, on my retreat, I actually made myself a really elaborate pizza from scratch, and then I watched Kiki's delivery service. So it's important to not try and fill up every minute of your day with productivity, because I think it's so easy for us to think that we have to be productive at every second. So this, I feel like, allowed me a lot of balance and spaciousness in my day. And those need to be the two main things that you focus on. Focus on balance and spaciousness. Because sometimes doing things slowly the simple act of slowing down can make something that normally feels really thorny or that we feel resistant to feel a whole lot easier. If you've watched the video this far and you're realizing, hey, I might need a little bit of one-on-one support for creating a creative retreat like this or some guidance, there's two things you can do. The first is you can join my Discord server and meet the community of people who are persistently blooming in their creativity over there, or you can reach out to me for a free meeting to figure out if a custom creative retreat is something for you. You can find out all about that in the links down below. Now I'll quickly just walk you through what I wrote for my Sunday schedule. So my Sunday, I knew was going to have to be a little bit different because on Saturday, the whole working on Obsidian didn't really go according to plan. I got really distracted and I was having a hard time focusing. And so I realized that when I'm having a really hard time focusing, the best thing that I can do is reach out to one of my friends who's also an artist or a creative or just a person who can sit there and knit and be with me. In the middle of doing the community work, I ended up reaching out to a friend to say, hey, I know you're in finals with your masters. Can we go meet up somewhere? So I went and picked up my friend from the BART station and we had to find a place with shade and no cell service. We picked up lunch at the farmer's market. So we went to the farmer's market, got some lunch. We went to the trailhead, got there around 12:30 and started working. At 1:30, I took a knitting break. And to be honest, as someone who's an artist and a writer who does a lot of thinking and video essays, knitting is huge. It helps me think, it helps me process. Then after my knitting break at 2, I worked on Obsidian again. So I want to bring something up to you here is that this whole create, setup, and fill my Obsidian with notes was a gargantuan project. And when we have a gargantuan project of something that we want to create, whether it's a system or we want to organize our files or we want to create something new from scratch that'll help our creativity, it's best to break it up into small bite-sized chunks that you can slowly chip away at rather than trying to sit down and force yourself to do the entire thing, especially by yourself. I spent the rest of the day hanging out, spending quality time with my friend, eating leftovers, resting, and just savoring the moment. So there's the schedule for you. Feel free to replicate it whatever way works for you. But again, remember to focus on balance, spaciousness, and slowing down. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. If you liked this video and you loved the vibe, consider subscribing or leave me a comment down below and let me know what you liked or didn't like, because that helps me improve. And until next time, stay creative and find your own ways to persistently bloom. See ya. What? We always need to film outside with an owl just flew by. A great horned owl. It was huge. It was like this big.
Chased away by the woodpecker.
Chased away by an acorn woodpecker. A humble acorn woodpecker.